All right, welcome back. This is Raj. We are writing an operating system. This is part 0x1 of the series. 0x0 was about setting up the whole context, initializing the incentives for the whole project. This time I'm going to discuss the starting or logging strat that I'm going to follow for the whole project because it's going to be quite a huge one. I plan on doing this for a long duration. I mean, I'm in this for the long haul, so I need to I need to be prepared, and I need to set out with the right tooling and like ecosystem and everything. So of course I cannot be like completely prepared, but then if I follow certain practices from the get-go, uh, and I sort of have a directive, sort of a compass, a generic compass, rather than I probably cannot have a very detailed roadmap or like plan to write an OS. But then if I do have a directive, a generic directive to follow, I will probably get there in a more efficient manner. Uh, I my To get there in an efficient manner is not the primary goal, but then of course the space can be like kind of a little too overwhelming in the sense that even if you study new things, you do not know if that is progress because this is so much to get into. So of course, like I'm not saying that reading a bunch of stuff is better than reading some other bunch of stuff, but it's more along the lines of what is the order that I should do these things in. Systems programming as a whole, I do wish to get into it. As a hobby. I mean, in the last video, I did mention that programming is going to be probably like hardcore programming is probably going to be a luxury and a hobby like kind of soon. Uh, I mean, I want to be sort of an aristocratic person like that who enjoys C. Why not? Like that C and assembly. I might even get into assembly sometime. I don't know. So there's that. Okay. So let's get started. So this one I'm going to discuss the studying strategy that I wish to follow. As always, I have my org file. Let's put it on the top left for you so that you can focus on it. Yeah, much better. Okay, so uh, I will of course. I mean, okay. So when I get started with sort of a long term project, something that's such a it's definitely large scale, but then I cannot anticipate the scale of like the effort that I'm going to need. So I have been thinking quite a lot about how do I manage the whole thing? How do I manage my effort? How do I not let the motivation or like the incentives fizzle out? Because like probably sometime soon I will face a lot of hurdles. Uh, how do I build some sort of a base upon which I can fall back in terms of in like when there's confusion and stuff, and like I need to be able to backtrack and stuff. So how do I make it like a really proper formal effort? So that's one thing I want to do this cause not just because it's fun. Of course it's fun. It sounds cool. Of course, like I mean, imagine writing an operating system. So that does sound cool. That definitely sounds cool. But then I also want to do it for the sake of I have been dealing with this question for a while, as might have a lot of software engineers, as to how do you actually study these days. I mean, yeah, how do you actually study these days? Because like LLMs and stuff. So like what is worth studying, what is not worth studying. So I found operating systems, like writing an operating system, to be kind of a problem where of course an LLM will accelerate your path, but then you cannot just like hack your way through. Hack. Okay, I'm using hack in the wrong sense. You cannot just I don't know, hand wave your way through writing an operating system. I think hand wave is like an abracadabra sort of thing. You cannot do that when you're writing an operating system. You will have to understand what's happening. So that is the aspect that I'm getting into. Uh, so in this video, my studying and logging strat for writing an operating system, I plan on answering a whole bunch of questions that I've been wrestling with myself as to like what should I even study in the current day and age. Uh, Given as a software engineer, I'm like just pretty nascent in my career, just like 3 4 years into it, 3 years into it. I plan on like having a long and healthy career because I'm like really interested in computers and engineering and like just stuff as a whole. So what do I study? Like what do I do exactly? So that's one question that I've been dealing with. Uh, so yeah, I mean it's this is a challenging problem for that, and so I was like let's give it a good shot. Let's give it a good try. I mean this seems like it is in the flow zone. Like it's challenging enough for me to think about like, ooh, can I do it? But it's not so discouraging that I can't that I'll be like completely, yeah, completely, I don't know. It's like I know what I'm doing, so it's like there is of course like a lot of potential for like shooting myself in the foot, but there is a lot of potential as well to like, I don't know, to discover a whole bunch of new stuff and like actually learn like while having some fun. So I'm going to discuss right now like what are questions I've been thinking about to like actually maintain this project for the longer term. Because I have started a bunch of projects in the past and like they fizzle out because there's no proper formal logging mechanism that I have. And by formal, I don't mean to be like my own project manager. I mean that there should be some sort of logs or like some sort of version control for my mind for the whole process. Of course, for software, we're going to version control it. For the code, of course, you version control it. But then version controlling the mindset is also kind of a thing for me. So these videos and vlogs will help me do that. So that's kind of nice. Uh, when I get into this space, it's kind of vast. So there's a whole bunch of stuff. Okay. So I graduated in like 2022. So it's been like 3 years. In my 4 years of university, I of course focused on my classes. So I was like I used to study. So it's not like I did not study. Uh, I also had an operating systems class and like there was a bunch of computer architecture here and there and stuff. But then there's still a long way to go to like write an operating system. Uh, so yeah, I mean a lot of stuff that I read I will have seen before. I will have consumed before. Uh, with focus and stuff. And like, I mean I did focus in those classes. It wasn't like I just like, yeah, I did focus in my classes. So I did like universities, by the way. So that was that. Uh, so a lot of things I'm going to see are going to be like kind of pre-seen. They're going to be pre-seen, but a lot of stuff that I see is going to be new. Uh, Majority of the stuff that I see is going to be new. Uh, and yeah, another thing is like I do not want to take notes. I mean, taking notes is not it these days. I can just like quickly ask a question. Like what I want, this delegated memory of mine, whatever noting mechanism I use to be, rather than a reference of knowledge, it has to be some sort of a wisdom generator. Wisdom generator in the sense that I need to be able to like build connections, ask good questions about systems research or OS research down the line, to be able to test out different strategies. I don't know, like have different problem statements, have a problem pool for systems programming as a whole. So that is what the goal for this is. One is of course, okay. So let's tackle it one by one. The simplest way of like managing my mindset is like having a journal. So that is of course there. If you hit space and JJ, you get an org journal. So this is my journal. So does that usually happens. So I am giving it around an hour plus, around like 1.5 hour every weekday. Uh, so that's like what, 7.5 hours plus Saturday I go all out. So that's like 5+ hours on a Saturday. So that's like, yeah, like 12.5 around. And like Sunday also like I like given some time. So it's like 2 hours. You can say it's like a 15-hour thing, 15-hour investment every week as a whole. So I do journal about it a lot, like what are questions I'm going through, what all stuff that I'm reading, what all I'm learning, what all I'm recalling, what all concepts I'm recalling that are like not documented anywhere, what all ideas I have that I could test out. I mean, of course, I should not try to get into research right away before hitting the foundations, but then I sort of have a very unusual path in computer science, as probably like most of the computer scientists do. I mean, this is a domain where a lot of people get in cause of interest. Like anyone who gets deep into any domain, it's cause of interest. And interest from human to human, it like varies quite a lot. So you cannot. There's no usual path as such. So like even that statement, it's like a Barnum statement. It's like. Yeah, I mean, I've had an unusual career and like learning pathway. That's a Barnum statement. So yeah, uh, a journal helps me backtrack and can keep track of things as to like where I've been, what I've been doing, what I've been thinking about. So that's nice. Uh, it adds up over time. So every day, if I probably have like a bunch of entries, most of them are like about my mindset, but then most of them are also like technical questions that I have, and I summarize them in project specific logs at the end of the day. Probably takes around 15-20 minutes, given that you got LLMs these days, so you can just like put that whole buffer in an LLM query and be like segregate these out in different categories based on the current projects that I'm working on, and whatever project that I'm working on. So for now, it's writing an operating system. So I've got a project specific I've got a project specific journal as well. Those are these logs, and something that is so like 2431, those numbers in hex are, by the way, the number of days I've been alive. So like today is 0x2439, that's why that's that. But 8 days ago I had the first journal entry, like a static journal entry. There's that. Whatever I accumulate between those two, I put in meditations. So in meditations I have the larger questions. Like I was like, I recently got a mail. Okay. So I also got a mail from one of you guys. I will not say the name because I do not have the permission to. But then you were saying about probably looking into MicroPython, or like not even like booting into my MicroPython directly and stuff. So as of right now, I do not even know how an operating system works. So that was like really interesting and stuff. So I was like, it's quite a the degrees of freedom to this problem statement are like insane. Writing an operating system, like the degrees of freedom in itself, like just saying that, it's probably that the easier you can frame your problem, like the more simpler your problem frame is, probably the more freedom you have and like what you can do with it. So like I mean it's obvious. I mean the lesser constraints you put in, because like an operating system is like a very open definition, like it's like a big thing. So there's that. uh so yeah, as like I started having questions, because of course I've spent a whole bunch of time with my share of Unisys. I spent a bunch of months with the BSD, but then I was stuck to it. So there's that too. So Unisys, as such, I say Unisys because like I also, yeah. So there's BSD and Linux, new Linux. So OpenSUSE Tumbleweed is my daily driver as of right now. But then for the better part of 2 or 3 years, I haven't touched Windows, uh, except the odd scenario when I have to like look at someone else's laptop, or like, yeah, like I don't know, do something elsewhere. Other than that, majority of my interaction with computer architecture has been via a new Linux machine, and like a small fraction, probably like 5-6% has been via BSD. So there's that. There's Android, but then there's also like a new Linux kind of thing. So is it new? Yeah, I think it's a new Linux. Let's just say it's a Unix based. It's a Linux based thing. So there's that too. And yeah. So the thing is, I do have a lot of questions about the technical questions, as well as see, research questions, or like how do I manage the whole thing sort of questions, or like how do I learn questions, or do I study questions, like what's not worth studying questions. So those go to my meditations. uh, I let these simmer, so I accumulate them over time, and whenever I find an answer, I pull that out and put that into a current journal entry. Journal entry as in like an instantaneous snapshot in the thing. So if I were to answer a bunch of questions, or like there are like a bunch of to dos as well. Like I've broken down like what I want to do as well. Uh, so I was thinking like maybe I could probably reverse engineer an operating system, or like think about it in different ways. Or let's say, what is the minimal OS that I could have? Like what would like probably like booting into Emacs is just like it, or yeah, like some of you suggested, like booting is just Python right away. Could be a thing. Uh, there's also some pedagogical stuff that I'd like to cover. Uh, yeah, so what's the process of like actually booting into stuff and everything? What are the tooling other than like Emacs that I'm using? So I will probably do it. Of course, like virtual tests and stuff. I will have to like set up a testing pipeline and everything. So I'll use KVM. I will use Virtual Machine Manager (VMM). We'll have to automate that stuff, and yeah. So, and also like I was also like this also motivated me to get into like operating systems research. I have been like looking at a bunch of conferences and like reading up a little. I feel like, I mean, if I'm going to give it a shot, if I'm going for a multi-year thing, I mean, I am like ready to invest like a bunch of years more than a bunch of years into this sort of a long-term project, because I'm doing this sort of like an aristocratic thing. Like sort of I'm kind of enjoying this. Like the thrill I get out of this is like insane. My feelings of competence have increased like immediately. The amount of just like what I've spent like just 15 hours so far into this, and like I actually feel better as an engineer, as in like I know stuff, as in like I know what's going on better. I do not yet know completely like what's up, but then of course it's like a better feeling. So there's that. So it's like, why not get into OS research sometime down the line or systems programming down the line? So just as a hobby, like a research sort of thing. Uh, I mean, if I'm going to give like 15 hours every week, I think I can like if I'm like consistent and stuff, I can like progress pretty in a pretty chill manner. I do not even have to stress about building a career in this. I might even start doing it for fun. Is what I've been thinking about. So like all those sort of questions, I've been putting them in here. Uh, I also like one. There's also the funky stuff that I log in here. I already like how operating systems or like systems programming people, guys like document their thoughts and like how do they like how their vocab is. I was like, how could we augment the vocab? It's like already pretty cool. There's killing children, there's demons, there's zombies, there's all sorts of stuff. So I don't know. Like there's also like there's this opportunity to like think in like so many ways right now. Uh, I'm like, what is the existing accepted stuff that is already there, that is already permeated? I don't know if that's the word. This is already there everywhere. Let's just stick to simple words. In the systems research or like programming space. I was like, what are some questions that I should ask about it, and like why should I just like accept stuff? Like right now, I've been accepting my operating system as is without any doubts. I was like, yeah, it's cool. It's like it's good. That's why it's yeah. But then, when do I start questioning it? So those sort of questions have started increasing. That sort of journaling happens in the meditations.org. Now there's that. Meditations and journaling are one thing, but then like this is the mindset. So I am in it for the long haul. So the mindset is kind of there. That mindset is kind of there. I also wish to be really thorough with my fundamentals. So of course there's an exploratory sort of thing that I do, and there's an exploitative in the sense like I wish to like be thorough with my fundamentals in the sense that I do not skimp on any fundamentals. That is something that I want to like be really clear about. So for that I have just picked this book up called as Operating Systems, Three Easy Pieces. So I have the PDF here in Emacs. Yeah, I mean this is a free PDF by the way. So there's no, yeah, I mean it's just like freely available on their website. So just do like operating systems, three easy pieces. I do not read it in like white and black. I read it in like green and black. So that's how I read it. I finished the first chapter. The first chapter, and this was like second chapter. So it basically boils it down into like three major problems: persistence, virtualization, and concurrency. So yeah, I think I finished the chapter with like the authors give an intro about like these three in like C programs and stuff. So I am getting to program in C again. I am also pushing that to the Git repository. I'll just give you a quick structure of the Git repository. There's of course my journals. That's where like I have my instantaneous like a snapshot, like weekly snapshots, like the one that I have right now. So these files, the hex.orgs are paired with like these kind of videos. So I'll of course link this one in the description of this video as well. And there's meditations that are like accumulating all sorts of like larger questions, and like once they get answered for real, I I put them in the hex.org journals, like the instantaneous ones, and like I also discuss them in these sort of videos. So journaling is one thing. Uh, Practicing. So that's where I'm using the O-step code. So there's of course like O-step code, like all of it is available in a GitHub repository. So operating system 3 easy pieces. Like just Google it. It's pretty famous. It's like a very nice book. A lot of people like, get into it. So for example, I just like I do pick out the header files, but then the C files. I mean the source code. I am like tinkering with it, and like yeah, I'm just like enjoying writing C again. So that's kind of nice. Uh, what am I doing here? Oh yeah. So okay. the source code, if you just like see the source code in itself, you'll probably not realize what's happening. But then in this case, it's like we're interfacing with the operating system. Just like we wanted to show how the CPU multiplexes processes. So we just like spawn a bunch of processes and then the print and random orders and like yeah, they wait for a second and like print stuff and like yeah, that's what it is. Uh, so yeah, it's like these minor programs in the second chapter, like technically the first section like where you get to explore like uh I'm going to like level up again, like get my C back to a more respectable level again. It's been a while since I've programmed in C. So I probably also had a whole bunch of fun programming in C. Lisp is of course the one I've had the most fun and like ever programming in. But then C also like just hits different. C also like I don't know, it probably tickles a different part of your brain. Lisp like Lisp of course like does its job well, but then like C also like tickles a different part of your brain, so it's a different kind of fun. Uh, I'm enjoying that again, so that's nice. I will not get into the tooling of like how to set up C for Emacs. I mean, it's like the pretty usual stuff, the usual LSP and like I'm using GCC. You could use Clang or whatever, and like I have like initially when I programmed in C when I was a Vim guy, so I used to use GDB in Tmux and stuff for like debugging and everything. Uh, I do not know what the current state of the art for C programming is, but then I found this good book about modern C that was also free. I think I'll read that up. It's pretty new. I think like C23 is the one right now. So I have spent a bunch of time in like C and C++ during my college days. Apart from my courses and like out of genuine interest, I've spent a bunch of time in them. Those are like good days. It's not like those are like different days. I was like a different personality then. Uh, but yeah, I think I'll get back into it. So like that's kind of nice. Why do I? Okay, so why here I get to address the language aspect of like writing an operating system. Why do I get into C first and not just like decide to write it in Clojure or like Racket or like Common Lisp or like I don't know whatever Lisp that you think is because I want to like I want to make it robust. So of course I can make a robust operating system in those languages. Uh, but then I first need to I do not understand the meaning of robustness, so I'll probably first need to break down an existing Unix or like learn how or like what they did or like what the design decisions like they were getting into to like write C. So I'm like a really yeah clueless person when it comes to like what languages and like why are they used in systems programming. There are of course like the obvious answers that I can like regurgitate, like memory management and lower level of control in the sense like control at a much more like a very low level and like knowing what the architecture is doing and like that sort of stuff. But then I do not really know like what I mean when I'm saying that. It's like I understand the semantic meaning. Okay, it's like I understand like the value of like a trillion dollars, but semantically I do not understand like what do I do with it, like a trillion dollars, like it's that kind of stuff. So I understand like why someone would go for a C for operating systems, but then I do not really understand why someone would go for C for operating systems. I want to experience it. Of course, it's like a multi-year project, so I'll probably not just write one operating system. We could like tune it out and stuff, and like we could probably yeah like get into like multiple languages down the line. But first, while I'm building the fundamentals, of course, I start with C because like I get to understand what the whole ecosystem is, what the API is, like there's POSIX and stuff, and like yeah, there's all the libraries, what's all happening. So yeah, I need to understand that first before I like start getting into like building something with a different sort of an offbeat language. So there's that. That's why I C first. Uh, there's of course systems programming, like people use MicroPython and stuff, like the mail that I got. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I will of course like look into that as well. So ARM architectures and everything is also nice. Computer hardware is also nice. This helps me get into computer architecture again as well. Those are also some fun days. Like I enjoyed computer architecture as well. So yeah, I will probably get to go through that all again. So that's nice. Simulations and stuff. I could probably simulate a bunch of algorithms. I could probably prototype algorithms in Python. So while reading up as much as that I've read, usually there's two ways of going about things. Like this is of course like through textbooks and like stuff and everything. In operating systems, there's like the how of things, of like how do you actually execute things, and like then there's the policies and orchestration aspects. So like uh, how do you like you of course know how to apply, but then to which particular thing do you apply it to, like where do you do it, or like that sort of stuff, like the decision making thing, the decision making aspect, like the orchestration aspect of like scheduling or like policies and stuff. So it's like two separate things. uh, we could probably do a whole bunch of POCs and stuff. Okay, sorry for the weird cut. That was that was an unavoidable cut. But yeah, I was talking about yeah, we could do a whole bunch of POCs with the POC, and this is like simulations and stuff about the hardware and like scheduling decisions and like uh, benchmarking and stuff in different languages. Like the drivers could be in other languages and stuff, and when I simulate stuff. So Python is of course like there for that, like the testing suite and everything. But then the actual kernel, I probably like stick to C for the first go. Once I know like why they chose C, then I can like start thinking about like why not C. So that's the thing. That's the thing that I'm going for initially. Okay. What I have next for you guys is so okay, that was the fundamentals aspect. Like I'm like going through the textbook chapter by chapter. So there's that. Whenever I get bored, whenever I want to like how do I maintain a repository of questions, and like how do I maintain connections and stuff. That's where Emacs sort of starts shining. So whenever I read something and I want to like say I want to have it logged in to whatever ecosystem of nodes that I have. So how I usually function right now is okay. I'm working on KD right now, and there's a whole bunch of things you can do with opacities and stuff. So without having to use the mouse again and again, Ogrom UI is kind of nice. So I've bound space MOL to decrease the opacity of my Emacs window, but I'm still controlling Emacs. So whenever I move into something, it follows me around. So there's that. I can also work in local graphs. I can get out of local graphs. I can move into other stuff. So you might not be able to completely see what I am typing in right now. I can see it. So this is kind of nice. I am not in the Chromium window where this is actually happening. I've just like altered the opacity of my Emacs, and behind the scenes I see like where stuff is connected where. So yeah, there's that. So this is like pretty decent. Now what I do when I write the let's put the opacity back up. What I do when I make these notes is okay. I do not I do not maintain these notes as knowledge bases. I maintain these notes to maintain connections. So how I do that is again like LLM augmented. I have a bunch of prompts that I've like sort of refined over the course of like now it's probably been a year. So one is like a jargonizer in the sense like it talks in like extremely dense language. You can check out my yeah, so all of these notes are all of these prompts are like out here. So I'll put the dot files as well in the description. So what I use for the for my notes and stuff is sort of an outline jargonizer. So there's a separate one for markdown and the separate one for org mode. What this does, that it talks in like extremely concise and like extremely jargon heavy bullet points. Why do I do that is because I do not want slop. So this keeps stuff like really interesting. So for example, if I'm talking in scheduling, I'll just talking about scheduling. Like if I wanted to like wanted to give it a bit of context, like so whatever I'm going to send out to GPTL is going to like just use whatever's up there before the cursor, as context. I could have, of course, like do a whole bunch of other stuff, but then like I like to keep it simple. So scheduling in operating systems. So I've bound space IGAJO to like generate an outline about this topic for like org mode in like a very concise manner. Once IGA, okay, hold on, IGAJO, yeah. So that's gonna send that out to an LM. It's gonna generate an outline while it does that. Okay, so that happened. We got a sip of coffee in. While it does that, I then, okay, yeah, I then read the outline, and a lot of it I know because I've studied a lot, and like the more you read, the more these jargons sort of like start overlapping and stuff. So that's why I enjoy sort of jargons. Jargons are like fairly like awesome. So yeah, these outlines are going to like help me get into other related notes like pretty quickly. Now this is this process scheduling, so I will quickly insert a link to process management and stuff, or I could do, I don't know, like what should I go for, process C's somewhere. I probably need to handle, yeah, this context and stuff. So yeah, this context, fairness, efficiency, responsiveness, throughput. So yeah, fairness is also something that I do not have a node on right now, so I could just quickly create one. So there's that. If I lower the opacity, yeah, that's where scheduling is. So you can quickly have a look at like what's up. When I want to like chill out, and when I want to see what all I've been studying and like what all exactly is, that's when I like sort of go in this mode. So let's put the opacity back up. Scheduling criteria. So you get to like see a whole bunch of stuff here, like at a very quick glance. These outlines and stuff. I do not like browsing anymore. What I like is this, in these exploratory session, I like stay away from the browser. I sort of ask questions. I like learning with questions. And how do I do that? So this is like for GPTL, but then another important extension that I use is Emacs. So the prompt that I am using right now, yeah, this is Emacs. Prompt that I'm using right now for Emacs is, let's show you the prompt. This is the root of it. I am talking to a programming expert, like a systems programming expert, like a Unix graybeard sort of thing. Again, like augmented the prompt from this root itself. This makes it a systems programming expert. So a Unix graybeard. What it does is like whatever question I ask, it gives sort of links, like what happened back in the day. It gives me further insights as to like what is further insights into like what could I think upon further, and yeah, like what should I wonder upon if like when writing an operation. So that's all boiled down into the prompt. So for example, I will show you a past conversation. I was getting into kernel configs and stuff. So I started investigating my own kernel and found out that OpenSUSE Tumbleweed right now is a tickless kernel, because I was getting into interrupt timers and everything, and like advanced programmable interrupt controllers and everything. So I was like, I like to practically explore as well, like when I go in. So of course I read this from a textbook, but then I was like, let's see how I can observe my own kernel right now. So my kernel right now is set to have an interrupt, like a kernel interrupt at like 300 times every second. So at every 3.33 milliseconds is my kernel interrupt thing. But then I later on also found out that like upon investigating further and stuff, the config no hz is also config no hertz is also set. So I found out about the concept of tickless kernels. Tickless kernels in the sense that like they're like event based interrupts, so like triggers for interrupts rather than the usual interrupting at every second. So initially the question, okay, how it went is like I was reading about interrupts. So like okay, how it's all started was like I was interested in like how actually CPU clocks work. So I got into like semiconductors and stuff. Then I got into like how so what happens is like every clock cycle, a CPU processors prepare instructions to be executed at the next step up or step down of a clock cycle. So that's usually it. Uh, so but then kernel interrupts and like orchestration and like context switch and everything, it does not happen every clock cycle because like that's just too heavy. It happens in like a separate interrupt timer sort of a time period. So that is around, like, it depends on like how you tune or like compile your kernel. For my kernel, the default was like 300, but then I also saw that it is also it's like a tickless kernel. So uh, I was like, let's tune it and see. Because I use Emacs, I do not use the mouse a lot, and like I do not change processes or whatever. What should be the optimal tick for me? And so I was like, but then I found it's like techniques. So I was like, if there is a gradation, is there a continuity as well, like an event-based thing? Then it turned out turns out there is. So this is a different kind of thing that I want to discuss. It's like kind of rediscovering concepts, rediscovering in the sense like not stuff that you have discovered before and you discover again, but stuff that has been meditated upon by someone else, and then you get to the same idea again. That is a really nice way of, I don't know, just enjoying knowledge, I feel like. So rediscovering things or ideas or concepts is like a really awesome way of enjoying studying, I would say. Used to happen to me like he okay, happens to the most of us a lot of times. If you're like studying with, I don't know, at least some intent and stuff, and like you ask questions along the way and like have more of an open mindset, you do not shy away from asking questions. uh you actually get to, yeah, rediscover a whole bunch of concepts and ideas. That's fun. So I one of those concepts like that was like a tickless kernel, and that was just through an interaction with an LM. So I'll show you the whole thing. Yeah, it's like a Unix graveyard, right? So it does tell me that I'm getting ahead of myself sometimes. So that's interesting. I'm using, yeah, the LM that I'm using probably does not matter to you guys. So yeah, I was like, is there a way to tune my programmable interrupt timer? That's what I was getting into, and I was like, yeah, you're getting ahead of yourself. You need to compile a kernel and stuff. I was like, why not have a dynamic kernel where I could like tune it in real time and stuff? I was like, what will be needed for that? So this is where like all sorts of interesting questions arise. The more questions that I've been asking, the more interesting it's been so far. So there's that. LLMs are definitely helping accelerate the process. So it's not like it's like a complete LM-less procedure. So this is kind of nice. Okay, the LLMs that I'm using, I have an open router subscription. So for GPTL, I prefer using Scout, Llama 4 Scout, and for Emacs, I am using Gemini 2.5 Pro. So Scout is like pretty low latency, and like because it's like jargon heavy, and I do not need large swap. It's like I just need like quick, obvious connections here and there. So that's where I use Scout, because like it's pretty quick. I also have a whole bunch of other quick prompt dispatches that are there. Like you can check out my config files for that. But then again, that is mostly the exploratory aspects of learning. There's that one of Google or like search that I need, but then you got EWW for that, so that's like not a big deal. Yeah, even if you paste links in here, it's like Emacs handles them for you, so it like passes them and like it handles them for you. So it's like nice that way. I think, yeah, we covered quite a bunch of stuff in terms of like how I actually plan on learning and everything. So where was I? I was here. Yeah, I was here. I was in my journal at 2439. Yeah. So yeah, these sort of check-ins is where I sort of plan on keeping it real. Probably might be long rambles or whatever. Like I discuss what I've done. Yeah, I discussed about that. LM augmented pointers. Yeah, discussed about that. Miscellaneous stuff. Yeah, Emacs is kind of nice. So I can do like a quick man here and there. Let's say if I want to do like if I wanted to like read the manual page for man itself. So I quickly have access to it like in Emacs itself, like without having to go to a terminal multiplexer and like searching stuff. I could like, because this is a text buffer, I could just like quickly ask questions via GPTL itself. I'm not going to do it right now. But yeah, Emacs is like pretty awesome. You have, oh yeah, this is where I executed my, this is where I was analyzing my configs and stuff. So file systems as well. So now when I spend time on Hacker News, I'm not like shying away from like nice articles about like file systems or there's like a whole bunch of stuff now. So like the lower level stuff. So that's kind of nice. It's again for mindset shift. Even with just like 1 week of investing into this kind of stuff, of like actively wanting to get into this, I can actually start feeling better about myself in terms of like I can understand more stuff. So there's that. We talked about journals and stuff. Yeah, I told you about like how much I'm investing in there. The vlogs are there. Yeah, so how I balance this is, of course, I need a mixture of like having fun and like deep work, so where I like grind through the boredom. Uh, Usually the exploratory stuff turns out to be fun. I just like put on some EDM and like I don't know some good beats, and I move around in Emacs. So if you do it like in with a low opacity, I can still read stuff. You will not be able to probably read stuff well. I can still read stuff. So yeah, moving around like that is fun with some good music. There is this Emacs distribution called as Emacs Live, which has like shiny text and has it's got a programmatic synthesizer, sort of. I probably I'm not saying it right. Hooked into like what you're doing in the moment. I probably need to figure out how to like put it into Doom. And I think like synthesized music, if it's like open source software, I will not get a copyright on it. I'm just too lazy. I'm just too lazy to like put in music here. So yeah, there's that. By the way, so I think I'm like going to get into systems programming as a whole. Uh, so concurrency, virtualization, and persistence are like some aspects of it. But then there's also like security and stuff. So I've got this like nice book out here, Hacking the Art of Exploitation. I haven't started yet, so it's like looks pretty clean and stuff. It's like yeah, fresh looking. So I will supplement security and stuff as well from here. Uh, Feels like a nice hobby. It feels like the beginning of a nice hobby. I can already feel my mindset changing. So it's I guess it's a nice decision to like get into writing an operating system. Now, as for the audience, the 569 of you. Of course, most of you are my friends. A couple of you, like my family members and stuff. But then most of you are here for Emacs and stuff. So I plan on like using Emacs all the way through. So Emacs is like a really nice piece of tooling to a whole bunch of miscellaneous stuff, like without being aware that the tool is doing something. So it's like the weapon becomes an extension of your body. If you were a warrior and if you were to choose a weapon, you would probably prefer choosing something that you're not aware of is yeah, it's like an extension of your body. It's like you become one with the weapon. It's like yeah, like the movie Avatar. Like you choose your ride and like you bond with it. So yeah, this is what we're doing. This is probably what we were doing. Like this is how I'm probably gonna like reason it out in terms of like why I'm not having explicit Emacs videos. Uh, yeah, I mean let's go to war with Emacs. War with Emacs in the sense like let's Emacs being a weapon. Let's ride out into war, like for war with Emacs. That's what I'm probably wanting to say. Yeah. That's it for the day. That's it for this week. I will. These are hex counters, so I will see you. I don't know when. But yeah, this is me. This is Raj, trying to write an operating system, and this was the studying and logging strategy that I plan on following. See you in the next one. I will probably, you know what? I'll probably be able to like gauge my progress, like how with how long my beard and hair get down the line. So that could probably be a nice experiment. But yeah, I think that's enough for now.